Hey everybody, Jeff Beatty here, and I am here to talk to you today about some of the essential tools and tricks that I recommend you have as an over-the-road driver here at Well Companies. Now, the good thing about all of these tools that you're about to see is that not only are they going to be functional, they're going to help you manage your hours better, keep yourself moving, and in turn, make more money. So let's dive right in and let's see what we got here. So the first most basic thing you're going to need is just a heavy canvas bag. It doesn't have to be anything fancy, doesn't have to be anything crazy, it doesn't even have to be canvas. Just a decent bag that you can put your tools in. So once you have that, one of the first things I have is a set of Allen keys. This Allen key, you can get this set from, say, Harbor Freight or Amazon, something just to give you different sizes for what you might need it for. Sometimes you might see it as a little overkill, but the important thing is if it gets you out of a bind, if it gets you out of a jam, if it saves you from having to wait hours for the truck stop, it's worth its weight in gold. So generally I'll put this on the bottom right underneath. Gives a nice firm base to my go bag. Over here we have an assortment of wrenches. They don't have to be expensive. They don't have to be crazy. They can be from Harbor Freight. They can be from, Sears if they're still open, JCPenney's. Just something basic. Home Depot, Lowe's. Nothing too extravagant, but something to get you through in the event that you need them. So at this point, I normally put all my wrenches in, and I have from a 1-inch all the way down to a 1/4 inch. You might ask yourself why I might need a tiny little 1/4 inch. And believe it or not, on some of the older Kenworths, when you would change your wipers, there would be a tiny little nut that you would need, and the 1/4 inch would be the ticket to get it off to put to the new blades on. We don't necessarily have that now, but this is why these smaller wrenches, a wide variety, is going to help you out there on the road. So we're just going to pop these in real quick. Just put them in the bag. It doesn't have to be pretty. It's just enough to make sure you know everything's in here and you have it. All right, my next tool down here that I always keep is a tiny little hacksaw. This is nothing crazy. This is nothing fancy. But if you need to cut a bolt, if you need to just get a little rivet out and it keeps you going, a little tool like this can go a long way. It could even cut a cord or cut a wire, but we'll go into that more later. So we put that in. Down here, I have some little specialty picker kind of tools. I've got a star key. You can get a star wrench or a star kind of screwdriver in an event that you need it. A little picker here can help kind of get knots out of some rope or anything like that. This is a great little set to have. Also down here, we've got a ton of screwdrivers. You got long ones, you got short ones, you got Phillips, you got flat. And the goal of these is you never know if you need a screwdriver, what size you're gonna need. You never know how long you need it to be. So I've got longer ones that I can put in, and I've got the shorter, smaller ones. So if you may need to make adjustments, say you're hanging a new TV, you need a Phillips. Smaller one like this, or a smaller one like this can be the ticket to hang that TV up for you. Next up in line, we have just a pair of needle nose pliers. This right here is great if you're going to break a seal. If you need to just hold on to something while you're tightening it up. So you have a little nut, hold on to the bolt, work that nut. You'll be able to get it off. All right. These are electrical. I'm going to kind of go into some electrical stuff. Electrical is something that you may not necessarily want to get too involved with, but it's going to give you the opportunity if you have a frayed wire, if you know how to splice some wire or make a small repair, this is going to help. This one you get from like Lowe's, Home Depot. It's got some strippers on it. It's got a cutter. It's got a crimper. It's a great all-around electrical tool to have in your go bag. So with that, a lot of times when you see things like that, you have old wiring harnesses. This one, in fact, came off of a light on the side. So if you have the cutters, say you need to cut the wire, cut your wire. Then if you need to strip your wire, you just pop it in. See if we got the right size there. Not quite there. Put the next one down. Again, strip your wire. Make your connections. Save yourself the time if you know how. And if you feel comfortable enough, you may not have to wait for a mechanic. So Having these tools are going to help a lot. If you do feel that you can splice some wire or you can make your connections, you want to make sure you put a little bit of a heat sink on it. So you take one of these, you put it between your wires, you make your connection. You can cut this short, put it on, melt it down. Give it a nice little waterproof protection. So I always keep that. I have two kinds in here. I have this kind that you melt down, and I also have a crimp style. Now the crimp style is a butt connector, and it's going to allow you to connect two different wires. Fairly simple to use. Also, when you're working with electrical, if you don't have a cutter, sometimes you might just use a razor blade. A little bit of a razor blade will go a long way when it comes to splicing a wire, getting the outside casing off to expose the wire. It's a good tool to have and keep in your go bag. Of course, if you're working with electrical, make sure your trailer is not connected. Make sure you have it unplugged. And if you need to, you have electrical tape. Doesn't have to be anything fancy. Scotch 88 is a really good go-to. Scotch 33 is a good one. Or this one is kind of a cross between duct tape and electrical tape. It's made by Gorilla Tape. So Gorilla Glue Company makes this. It's a great tool to have. Also, I keep in my go bag, but at the same time, you want to keep in your truck as well, is fuses. Blade fuses will go a long way. Anywhere from 5 amp on up to about 30 amp. The goal and the key to these are, if you have, let's say for instance, and this happened to me personally, I went in to hook up to a trailer. I didn't have marker lights up top, yet I called breakdown. Breakdown said check the fuses. I went, I checked the fuses, which was inside the firewall of the truck on the engine, and lo and behold, it was a fuse. Pulled out the old fuse, had the right fuse here, put it in, trailer lights worked. That right there is not only going to save you time and money, it's going to save the company money, obviously, from not sending a mechanic out, but it's going to save you money from having to wait for that mechanic. Because if we're sitting, we're not making any money. One of the things occasionally along the way you might come across is an old light, a marker light for a trailer, a blinker, something like that. You come across them if you have to replace one, or if you find one, or the shop might give you one if you need to. It's sometimes good to have. It has to be the proper connection. So having an extra one isn't a bad thing, just like an extra headlight bulb. Extra headlight bulbs will save you a lot of time also. For the Kenworths, the Peterbilts, an H11 bulb, this is the exact bulb you need. While this is an older bulb and it's gone, I just haven't thrown it away, it's something you can keep in there. Keep it in a case. Buy it at the truck stop, and then when you use it, you know, you'll save yourself. Or if you're at a truck stop and you buy it, call in a breakdown, get a PO, you'll get reimbursed for those light repairs that you have to make. Next, I have a good old tape measure. Tape measure, you never know if you have to adjust, if you have to measure the height of your airlines back on your tandems, it's gonna make a huge difference. Keep a little tape measure. It may not seem like much, but it'll help in the long run. Now, the other two key ones that a lot of people wonder is a bolt with 2 washers. You might think, well, why would I need the 2 washers? Why would I need the bolt? Why would I need the nut? But this right here, we've all encountered trailers where the landing gear arm might come off. It's just held on there by a bolt. But if you have a bolt, you can put it through, tighten it up, get your landing gear up, and you'll be good to go and keep on moving. The last thing that's free, I repeat this is free. Go to any of Well Company's shops, whether it's in De Pere, Allentown, or Winter Haven. You're going to be able to pick up, ask for a handful of glad hand seals. This is just one of the many I generally keep on my truck. But if you hook up your airlines to your trailer, and a lot of times you hook up that red line, it might be folded in a little bit on your glad hand. And if you hear a hissing sound, you can get out a lot of times, pull that airline and see that it's folded in, or it might be ripped. This little grommet will save you a lot of time. Just replace your grommets right there. You go to a truck stop, you can get 2 of them for about $3.99 to $7.99 depending upon where you go. So having these grommets is going to save you so much time. They're free, get them from the shop, keep them in your truck, you'll keep yourself moving. I also use, and one of the big things that my father always told me is Paracord. You never know when you might need to tie up some airlines for a temporary fix. You get the spring that holds the airlines up for your rear tandems. You know, you can just put these on, tie them up. It's a godsend. It's really great to have. It's a sturdy rope. You can braid it together. You can use it for whatever you might need to secure anything. The last thing I keep in this particular go bag is some rags. Nothing fancy, nothing expensive, just basic rags. You can use them, you can check your oil, you can clean up anything that you might spill in your truck or outside of your truck. Heck, one way that I always use these is if I have to get down and hang something up or I have to kneel down on the ground, put something like this on the ground, lay them out. That way your pants or your clothes or your shorts or your knees, they won't get dirty, they won't get wet. So right now, you see all these tools and you think there's too many tools, but you know what? It fits. It's my go bag. In and out, got everything I need. Now the next tool that I really recommend, can't recommend it enough, is an Airline. Your Airline is going to hook up to your red line. Now you hook that up, and what it's going to allow you to do is you can fill up your tires. Say your bad RF tells you that you have a low tire, bouncing off at like 75 pounds. What you can do, hook this up to your red Airline. Push in your red Airline from your truck, and you have air. Fill up those tires, save yourself the time from going to have to go through a Love's Tire Pass or trying to find any particular kind of air pump, whatever you might need. So the other thing you'll need when you have the Airline is your air chalk. Check your tire pressure. Make sure you know what your pressures are at. This is worth its weight in gold. Now, the other thing I'll say about this Airline, you've got two different types that you'll find at the truck stop. You've got a super cold weather down to -30 like this. What it is it's an air hose with some insulation around it, makes it more flexible, makes it more pliable. The other style that you'll see at the truck stops it's just a red air hose. The problem with that is when you're in these Wisconsin winters and you come up here, or you're in Joliet and they have a cold snap, you take a red one, you try and extend it out, and it'll snap and break. So definitely get these cold weather Airlines to keep your tires inflated. And our last but not least, this is one that I always was told. My dad used to say, Jeff, you need to make sure you have this. And I thought to myself, Dad, I'm not going to use it. I'm not going to use it. This investment was worth it. We've all been there where we have a bad battery, or you might encounter another driver out there, even if it's from another company that has a set of batteries that needs to be jumped. Right here, you got a set of jumper cables. These cables are 20 to 25 feet long. They're a little bit more expensive, but you can jump a car, you can jump your truck. Say the reefer goes out, you can jump your reefer. The goal is to have a long enough set that you can go from your batteries to your reefer unit or vice versa. There's been times where I thought I'd never use it. It's funny, I remember a couple years ago I was in Carthage, Missouri down there at the caves, and there was an owner op right next to me. He said, hey driver, do you have any jumper cables? As we all know, when you go to Carthage, you're in that staging area with that huge rock wall behind you waiting to go down into the caves with really nothing around you but a guard shack. I was able to get the jumper cables attached. We got this owner op jumped, running, and he was able to keep on going. It was more intrinsically a feel good, pass it on. Take care of the other drivers. We're all out here together, so sometimes it's best to just help each other out. Now with this jumper cable, I have just a basic bag. Nothing fancy, it's quite dirty. I believe I got this from my dad and an old toolkit, but I generally just take my jumper cables, slide them in, put them in there, and keep it in my side box. So together with my jumper cables, I got my air hose, and I got my go bag. These are the essential tools you want to have when you're out there on the road. Keep them with you. You never know if you're going to use them. You might think you may not use them, but when you do, think about the time and the money you're going to save. So if you have any questions and you see me on the yard, let me know. Any comments, let me know. Make sure you give this video a like and a thumbs up, and put in the comments any other videos you might want to see. So I appreciate everybody hanging around watching this video. We appreciate it, and everybody be safe out there. Thanks a lot.